Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin String coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And I am bringing up the stream on my Kindle so I can read the chat. So I have all that set up now. So what I have is the Halal US MRE that Multi-Magnum sent me. We had a discussion over Facebook Messenger that he wanted to go ahead and send this. And this arrived at the perfect time because it's going to be a little while before my other rations get here that I ordered online. So this is a very tightly vacuum packed MRE done by Sapaco. And the date code is almost double stamped, so it was hard to make it out. But I'm just going to go on that this is a 2022 pack. I could not find it on the bag itself. I'm going to be very careful when I cut it open so that I don't cut anything. And these do not come with a hot drink option, so I got a Katepa Pride tea bag to go into my delicious mug. So first off the top, this is the beef roast with vegetables. These things are also very snack heavy. We got a rear roll that was just loose in there. Got a cinnamon bun from Bridgeford. This is fruit and nut mix. One of my least favorite US MRE drink mixes, the Tropical Punch. And that will go into the drinking jar. Santa Fe Adobo snack mix. Then we have the accessory pack. And this time matches were included, separate. It'd be nice if they would just use a standard accessory packs. We got a bag of cranberries. The sticker was apparently a price sticker from wherever this was purchased. So because that has no information on what the item is, since these halal MREs are not numbered with a menu number, I'm just going to go ahead and toss that into a plastic bag, which serves as my trash bag. So I've got the flameless ration heater, which I will not use, but I save. And we got this sleeve here with all the nutritional information and the ingredients for the main entree. Got Mother Earth, Garden Club, the ice, There's Multi Magnum, the guy who sent this in. Jonezi is here. A couple of names I had not seen in here before. Welcome. I'm obviously not going to be using the matches or the rear rolls, so those will go off to the side. And because of the nature of these drink mixes, I tend to mix them first, simply because they take a fair amount of time to dissolve. And sometimes these packets don't always open very well, but easily remedied. I do it like that. I stuff the packet down into the drinking jar because the powder will tend to go everywhere if I don't do that. Sometimes these drink powders tend to have some kind of a film on it that may develop later. And sometimes the powder wants to stick to my titanium spork, which I use for all of these reviews. I'll stir that again later. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this into my kitchen, put this on the stove to boil up, and then I will bring back the kettle for my tea, and I'll be right back. I just take the kettle back into the kitchen to get it out of my way, simply because I don't have a large space to work with here. I'll put the tea back here to steep. I'll go ahead and open up the accessory pack. this has one thing or two things that the standard MRE and the MCW, meal cold weather packs, do not have napkin, and these include pepper. Why the other MREs do not include pepper, I don't know. Got the standard MRE spoon. I save all these. This is crushed red pepper. This needs to show up in a few more MREs, especially when they have something a bit spicy. You get a napkin, which you do not get in other MREs. You get 2 packs of sugar, but nothing to put it in. I still have not figured out why they include sugar when there's no hot drink option. So you get a fresh nap, different branded, different packaging than the standard wet wipe that you get in the MREs. And so there's a packet of salt, and my pepper went flying. Right into my sleeve. So there is the pepper packet. Spicy tuna rolls and Cliff are in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This is 2022 pack Halal roast, beef roast with vegetables. I'm clearing all the accessory packet items aside since I will not be using them. I'll start opening up all of these. Again, these Halal MREs are very snack heavy. Although I do like the cinnamon bun, that is a good dessert. These are the standard cranberries, not the osmotic, which I'm very happy with. Gage and Danya in the house. Thanks for dropping in. A couple more names I had not seen before, so welcome. I put the tear notch way below down here on this, but I'm not going to bother with that. I'll make my own tear notch up high so I'm not throwing the fruit and nut mix everywhere. This one had an oxygen absorber, whereas the cranberries did not. Now, I will open up the Santa Fe adobo mix. Oxygen absorber there. Now the last thing I will open will be the cinnamon bun. Oxygen absorber stuck to it. Toy Lam is here. Thanks for dropping in. This is a 2022 pack US Halal MRE. These are not numbered like standard US MREs or meal cold weather. It is just, it's in a clear wrapping, and you have to look at this, which is usually stuck on the back side of the pack, to see what the menu is. And speaking of, I'm going to go ahead and bring that out here. I'm going to turn the cinnamon bun that way. I'm going to go bring that out here from the kitchen, and we'll open that up and see what it's like. I am back with the main. This is just a dome lid from my cookware set. I just take it out of the pot with the tongs, toss it in here. Now I have a paper towel that I use to dry it off, so it makes it easier to handle. I just set that off to the side. The tear notches on these pouch goes across this way. I shake it like that to get the food to go down below before I tear it off. That way it should not go everywhere. And that had a clean rip right across. Almost everything came out of here. So it is a big piece of beef. It looks like a beef patty. Cold War prepper in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This is a halal beef roast with vegetables. I'm going to uncover the beef. It looks like a beef patty. Now we'll see if there, that should give you a good look at the cross section of the beef. I hope you can see that. I'll go ahead and give it a bite. It has the texture of a moderately processed beef, almost reminds me of a Salisbury steak type texture. But the flavor is really good. So we got potatoes, bits of carrot, the carrot almost dissolves, and there's a bit of, I believe, red bell pepper. Looks like the only piece of that I find. Yep, that was red bell pepper. And we have a piece of mushroom. There's some other smaller bits of mushroom here. The potatoes are moderately soft, but nowhere near as soft as the carrots. Prepper for the ages is here. Thanks for dropping in. And this was packed by Sapaco in 2022. These halal MREs do not have a hot drink option. So I have, I'll lift up the tag, a Katepa Pride tea bag. That is currently steeping in my delicious mug. I do like the flavor of the gravy that this beef is in. I think there might be an actual bit of beef fat. There may be some onion, maybe onion powder. So because this does contain mushrooms, anyone who is either sensitive to mushroom or who simply do not like mushroom would probably not want to either eat this one, or they might just toss the mushrooms, but I happen to like mushrooms, so I'm happy with it. Again, the beef is moderately processed, so it's closer to like a Salisbury steak, not quite like a piece of meatloaf or anything like that. Kayum Samani is in the house. I do thank you for dropping in. And I also want to thank my moderators for dealing with the less than polite ones that may be dropping in here. It's hard to do that on my screen when I'm focusing on the food here. I have this set up with my phone directly above the tray. And if I were to switch to camera view, you would be looking at my ceiling. And that would not be a view that you would want to stick with. I just took the tea bag out of my tea. Had a drink of that. This fruit and nut mix appears to be raisins, cranberries. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like papaya, maybe passion fruit. There may be cranberry, banana, and some almonds. So that is everything that is in the fruit and nut mix. This is how, that the almonds are not roasted or salted. But nice, decent almonds. These are the standard cranberries. Some of those could go into this mix to join the raisins. So I'll just drop a few of those in there. Now this Santa Fe adobo, there's a few different things in here. So that is a bit of everything that is in there. This is a half seasoned almond. Because it was roasted and seasoned, and it has a bit more crunch than the almonds that are in there. Our peanuts are roasted and seasoned. This is a sesame uh, bite. That definitely has taken on the flavor of the adobo seasoning blend. These are little like corn sticks. Got a good crunch to them. Burger Butt in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Got the corn, actual corn nut. And then we have the sunflower kernels. A good mix. But even though this is a 2022 pack, this one tastes like it might be a bit older than that. But it's not rancid, still perfectly edible. The side items in these halal MREs used to be in a silver packaging that is nowhere near as robust as the packaging that is used in all the other U.S. rations. So this thicker packaging definitely protects the food better. De Carlos Perry is here. Thanks for dropping in. And this is halal beef roast with vegetables. Gonna have another bunch of these cranberries. I found some interesting rations online. All of them are based or shipped from the U.S., so I don't have to worry about any thievery going on. So I'm looking forward to getting those in. One of them is, one of these orders was for a pair of kosher rations. They're certified kosher. They're done by a company that took over from My Own Meals called La Bruyute. So the seller had a good deal on those, so I got the pair. So it'll be interesting to see what those are like. And the way they do theirs is like how My Own Meals did. The main entree is in a package of its own, and then the accessory pack includes everything else. Yeah, the sides, the utensil, whatever drink options they chose to put in, the snack or dessert, all that stuff is in one larger accessory bag, like the My Own Meals. And some of those are still available on eBay. What I might do is I might sit on, once I get those La Brioute rations, I may review one but sit on it, since I have some other ones coming as well. I may order a My Own Meals, the complete ration with the entree and the accessory pack, and then do a direct comparison of the contents and, the different brands that are chosen for the various items, as well as the packaging itself. Well, DeCarlos, at least you're not up in northern Minnesota or up where Cliff is in Alaska. I watched a couple of videos from a couple of different Canadians who camp in this sort of weather. In fact, they drive snowmobiles to get to their sites. And the temperature there is measured in Celsius, but the wind was pretty gnarly. So it would be like minus 30 something Celsius. So probably about minus 15, or I'm not sure what that would look, that'd be in Fahrenheit. But those guys up there, they live for this. And so when the lakes freeze over that they can drive snowmobiles on now, and maybe later their trucks once the ice gets thick enough, then they really go after it and make the most of the cold while they can do that. Well, that's pretty awesome. I like having viewers from around the world coming into my chats. Uh, for those that are on the other side of the pond, it's already early Monday morning there. I'm going to stir my drink, my tropical punch again, because it still has not fully dissolved. It did not form a thick film like sometimes this one does. I don't know if it has something to do with the dye, the red 40. It's definitely not one of my favorite drink mixes, but I will still drink it. But I'd rather follow that up with something with a bit more flavor like this. Yeah, it's getting cold here in Iowa. In fact, the forecast calls for a little bit of the white stuff. First they say a coating, now say a coating to an inch. The last time that it was predicted, all we had was flurries and the ground was still too warm for it to even stick. And then as it was falling, it would actually melt before it hit the ground, so it didn't have a chance to even hit the ground in some spots. The worst storm I had ever experienced was when I was in Nebraska. And the school, I think it was like third grade at the time, and maybe second grade. I don't remember exactly which, but everybody was in school. All the staff were there. The weather was not too bad. Then during the school day, a big old blizzard came, just real hard and fast, and not much time for people to react to decide, okay, you go home. No, it just was not going to happen. No one was going anywhere. In fact, the city officials told people not to drive unless they absolutely had to. So people going home from their workplaces, if they had not already left before then, they had to stay put. So everybody, staff, students, all slept in the school until the next morning. And because everybody was already there, obviously you couldn't cancel classes because we didn't lose power or water service. It was just a lot of snow. And it was at the end of the next day that everybody was able to go home. Because the snow had stopped, the wind had died down, and the streets had all been cleared. All set sunset, another new viewer. Thanks for dropping in. This is a 2022 pack Halal certified beef roast with vegetables. This is packed by the Sapaco company in 2022. These certified halal MREs are military issue. I've had to remind a few people that these would be given to Muslim members of the U.S. military, and if they did not have any certified kosher ones available at that particular location, then a Jewish member of the military could be given one of these. And that would be how that works. And the kosher MREs done by a different company, like I mentioned, La Briute, which replaced Mile Meals. I'm sure there are other companies that did this in the past, but those could be given to the Muslim soldiers because the dietary guidelines are fairly similar. Yeah, that's not a whole lot of daylight up there. In the really far north, they're in their dark time where no daylight whatsoever. Be straight up noon and it's as black as midnight. Yeah, that's a big difference between even Texas and where most of us are at, and those of you who are in other countries would know about winter as well. Yeah, I even watch a few Russian channels just for something different. And the snow that they have gotten up there, especially in the northern parts, that's up like northern Canada, how much they're getting up there. I'm going to go ahead and now this cinnamon bun looks about like the last one I saw. Very thin line of filling. Make sure it's in camera there. There's a good close-up of it. You can see the flavor has gone through all the way through it. It smells pretty good. You know, the cinnamon smell is really good coming off this thing. It's a bit doughy. Probably could have used maybe another minute or two baking, but not too bad. Yeah, if this cinnamon bun were warmed up, I think that would be a lot better because they do taste better warmed up, and I've done that in the past. Just ate another piece of the mushroom that's in this main, which I really do like the mushrooms. They complement the beef very well to me. I think it's almost is fitting that I have cranberries just a few days after U.S. Thanksgiving. Nothing wrong with that. It would have been nice to have a turkey ration, but don't have any of those. Now, Canadian turkey in orange sauce, I really do like that one. Some people don't, but I really enjoyed it. If I if I can get that one again, I would be happy camper. Dang, Tuna, what'd you do? Get yourself into trouble? You get into a fight with an orca or something? Yeah, I know how that goes. This cold, when it comes on really fast, it drives my right knee up the wall backwards. I have no cartilage in it, so I don't move as fast as I used to. I was not able to go on a November camp like I've done in the past, where we would actually celebrate Thanksgiving early with those we were camping with, but that did not happen. The woman who had organized it in the past had other things going on, and her wife, she is a lesbian, is an artist wood carver, and she is now having her carvings sold in a small shop that sells other artworks made by different artists. And so Brenda is having her cedar carvings, and maybe she gets a hold of a nice piece of burl, she will carve that too. But that shop is outside of Des Moines, so I can't I can't go there, but I have a few of her pieces already. I have two of her spoons, and I have a long-handled spatula that have gone camping with me. Nation MRE finds in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This 2022 pack Halal MRE is courtesy of Multi Magnum, who is in the chat. Again, I want to thank him for sending this in. I got it in the snail mail yesterday. Perfect timing, so I could bring this to you today. I have to wait on my other rations to get in, so this is perfect. If I did not get this in time, I would have done a ration mashup with some of the loose components that I have in my ration box. I like adding these cranberries in with this fruit and nut mix. The only nuts in here are the almonds. They're not roasted or salted, but it gives a little tart to go along with the sweetness of all the fruits. There's banana, papaya, passion fruit, cranberry, and then I threw some of these, or raisin, and I threw some of these cranberries in here. And this is a Southwest style adobo seasoned snack mix. It's got peanuts, almonds, corn nuts, sunflower kernels, the little corn sticks, and the sesame squares, but I think I've eaten all of them. There were not very many of those in there. And the almonds in here, like the peanuts, are roasted and seasoned, whereas in this, the almonds are not roasted or salted. Oh, I've had that chicken one before. That is a good one. I had thought I had this beef roast, but no. I had not had this particular menu before, so I'm guessing this is a new one. But I never did have one of every menu that was in past runs of the Halal MRE, so I think there are a few of the older ones that I still have not tried. I've never tried the ratatouille, and I want to find one of those and give that a shot. I just never got a hold of one, so I might have to search for that. But this beef roast with vegetables. Too bad there was only one piece of red bell pepper. Would not have minded a few more pieces. The carrots are very soft. So is that piece of red bell pepper. That pretty much disintegrates in your mouth. The mushrooms have a little bit more firmness to them. So do the potatoes. But other than that, it's actually not bad. I wouldn't mind getting that one again. Is YM, another new viewer, welcome. U.S. military rations are not exactly known for restaurant quality food. The companies that get the contracts have specific requirements that they are told to meet and what types of items that they want produced, so they do it. You get into rations from other countries, you're more likely to find more unique foods and sometimes much better quality. My favorite country to get rations from so far is France. The entrees and some of the other things in those rations, they're just top notch. I've had some good Spanish ones. I've had some good Norwegian rations. I've had some good British ones, like that Halal ORP that I reviewed last month, the better of the two, or of the three entrees, the best of those three was actually that chicken jalfrezi. That stuff is so good. I wish I could buy that here. It was that good. We are in December now. This is December 1st. I got a good deal on a lot of 4 random pick Canadian rations. They are in the paper bag. If I'm guessing based on the pictures that were included in the listing, and that seller is in the US, so I don't have to worry about those being rated. There are some Chinese rations that are in the blue-gray bag instead of the tan bag, like the type 13s and similar ones. There are a few of those floating around there, but what I've seen online of those, the entrees in those contain pork, and me being Muslim, I do not eat pork, so I bypass those. I had to look at all of these Chinese, I think they're called Special Forces ones. I looked at the menus of all of them that I could potentially purchase, and I found one that had 2 beef items in there. So obviously that's what I went for. I don't know what will be in the set of the Canadian IMPs, but depending on what menus I get, one of them might be a giveaway item. I don't know. I may just pick someone to send it to. I also have a duplicate Spanish Halal certified B2. They call it a lunch, but either the lunch or dinner ones, they're probably about equal. That B2 is the halal beef meatballs with peas, and I do really like that. I ended up getting 2 of those because I bought a random pick lot of 2 Spanish rations, and because I saw the B2 on MRE Mountain, so I ordered that, and I ordered a Spanish breakfast, but a Norwegian breakfast got sent instead. So I don't know if that was an oops on the part of the person who packed it, or it was just a substitution because the Spanish breakfast was out of stock. Oh, that was a coconut flake I just picked out. I hadn't noticed the coconut flakes in here. There's another one that is the toasted coconut. So that's why it looks almost the color of the banana. Coconut is not sweetened, which is perfectly fine because it kind of cuts on the sweetness of the whole mix. And it may take on some of the sweetness from the fruit pieces. Nope, I'm not old enough for pina colada. I'm only 58. I'm going to be 59 next month, so I'm not old enough for that stuff. Besides, I'd rather spend my money on more important things like rations to review. Better than that is mango lassi. Last bite of this beef. Yeah, I'm just a youngster. My joints would differ, but that's their problem. Now, speaking of mango lassi, I think I did a video on how I make it. Which is just a smaller version, a cut down recipe from what we use at the mosque, because we make it in a huge batch there during Ramadan every day. It gets made because it's served with some dates when it's time to break our daily fast right before praying the sunset prayer. But that involves vanilla ice cream, whole milk, and mango pulp, which is kind of like a thickened mango puree, but it's very smooth. And I use one of the cooking pots plus the ice cream bucket as an additional mixing container, because the pot that I use does not hold it all once I get all of the ingredients together. And then it gets poured into pitchers and then put back into the fridge. The key to it, making it easy to mix, is letting the ice cream thaw out in the fridge overnight. Maybe if we can get away with it 2 days, then it's liquid. Then it makes it a whole lot easier to mix. I do not like putting it out on a counter to thaw out, because that changes it. I'd rather keep it cold just so that the mix stays cold, because the only part of it that is not cold to begin with is the mango pulp. I just open up the cans and dump it in. But what I also like to do if I'm just making it for myself at home in a smaller quantity is I will put some of it back in the freezer and then eat it like ice cream. Yeah, unfortunately, you would have to just have a mango smoothie that would not involve milk or yogurt, or you would use a milk substitute like almond milk, rice milk, oat milk, one of those. Although the taste would be different, I think the consistency might be different, but if you get the vanilla flavored one, it already has that vanilla flavor, and you mix that with the mango pulp. If you have to sweeten it, add a little sugar. But that could be another option if you wanted to try that. That would involve crushing the living daylights out of these things. Same with, I think the rice milk and the oat milk, I think would be a lot easier to make. In fact, I think Alaska Granny has a video on her channel of how to make your own oat milk because it just involves soaking the oats and then straining them after they've soaked for a certain amount of time. You'd have to watch either her channel or some other channels might have it on how to make the oat milk. I have not looked at how to do the rice milk, but I think it may be the same thing. But rice is harder than oats, so it may take another process. I've never looked that up. Yeah, it's not true milk because milk is only from an animal. It's just given that name for marketing, to show that it is a milk substitute. It would be interesting to try it with goat milk. I have powdered goat milk in my stash, but I have never mixed any of it up to drink it. I've never had any goat milk that is still in the liquid state. I wouldn't have any idea about that, but there are people who will give goat milk to babies if the baby cannot tolerate its mother's milk for some reason, or cannot take any of the existing prepared formulas. So and then there are adults who will drink it. Plus, you can use goat milk to make cheese. feta cheese is usually made with goat milk. Yeah, I've had some other goat cheeses as well. There used to be a seller at the downtown farmers market. I have not gone there for a few years. I hope next summer to actually go to the farmers market and see if this one cheesemaker does the little containers of the spreadable cheeses that are probably about half the capacity of my delicious mug. But I think you could get larger containers, but I got the smaller ones because I just wanted to try them. And plus, those little plastic containers prove useful for putting other little tiny things in. So they serve a dual purpose. I'm going to take another bite of the cinnamon bun. Cinnamon bun. Actually, I have never had that combination in an omelet. That does sound good. And I bet specific mushrooms would probably make it even better. There are a lot of mushrooms that I am not familiar with. I've never tried. I've tried portobello, and of course the ubiquitous button mushroom. I've never tried some of the wild foraged mushrooms other than morels. I haven't had morels in a few years, so I really do want to get some again. But no chance finding them out here. I would have to buy some from someone who does collect the morels. I think the last time I bought some from the farmer's market, even at that time, the price was pretty high at I think $12 for maybe half a pound. But those are some really nice mushrooms fried in butter. I've never had the shiitakes or those ones that Cliff mentioned. The chicken of the woods, I've never had that. I've never had quite a few other edible mushrooms. I think porcini is just a smaller portobello. I don't know. I know I've had portobello, but that's been a long time since I had that. And these were actually grilled whole, like you would grill a burger. Yeah, they would. I've never heard them called that here in Iowa, so that must simply be a Michigan thing. I've never had mushrooms soaked in anything as far as a marinade or flavoring before frying them. So I don't know what the salt water would do other than make it taste salty. I suppose that would work, but I think the ones that I bought at the farmer's market had already been rinsed. But I still just rinsed them off in tap water. I was going after the last few crumbs in that adobo. When you're getting that adobo seasoning almost straight up, it has a bit of a peppery bite to it, which I like. Adobo is a spice blend, and you can buy it already made up in uh, in stores. So you don't have to try to come up with your own unless you want to try to duplicate a recipe from, you know, that another company may have used in their mix. Yep. That's why you don't really need to soak them unless you're going to put them in a soup or in a sauce. Adobo, I think, is more Mexican in origin, but it also may have variants that originated from other South American countries. It would be easy to look up the origin of adobo, but I haven't bothered to do that. I just know I like it. Of course, I like curries, I like Asian spices. I need to get me some more Chinese five spice powder because I'm out of it. I also like a seven spice blend that I have picked up from Halal groceries. And there are a few different versions of that. Just like garam masala, there are different versions of that. You know, in Mexico, the mole sauce is not just one style. There are different styles of moles from different parts of Mexico. Thanks for dropping in. Again, Multi-Magnum sent this Halal MRE to me. And again, I want to thank him for it. And I'm glad he was able to show up in the chat so he could watch me enjoy it. So that was very kind of him to do that. So maybe I will have to do something about that at a later time. Yeah, me being of Polish descent, we ate some Polish dishes, but then my mom also made a Russian dish, at least from what I understand it's Russian, called kulabiaka. And she would make a huge, it looks like a flat loaf about as big as this tray, maybe bigger. And she would make a stroganoff sauce to go over top of that. And I have that recipe. I copied it from the one that she had written down, or she had copied from something else, so I have it. But she used chicken and tuna in the filling, and then she made it, she would put that inside of the bread dough and then bake it. And then she made a stroganoff sauce. So when it was sliced up in slices that were probably about half the thickness of one of these compartments here on my tray, then you would put that stroganoff sauce on top of that slice and then eat it like that. That was really, really good. So if Cold War Prepper is still in here, I'm curious if he would be familiar with it. Or if so, if he has actually had it. But I think about that dish once in a while. It just brings back memories. Although it took some work because my mom made the dough by hand. It took some work to make up, but it was an almost one pan meal aside from the stroganoff sauce. And you put on top of the kulabiaka slice. That was an easy way to feed a large family for not a whole lot of money. Again, I want to thank my mods for dealing with the weirdness, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, my mom used to make cabbage rolls, and then she would make a tomato sauce that was a thin sauce that put over top of the cabbage rolls, and they were stuffed with, you know, it was a meat filling inside of the cabbage leaves that were rolled up. About 15 years ago, I found a Polish cookbook, not a really thick one, but I found a Polish cookbook that was being sold by someone who had a booth in the middle of one of the local malls here in Des Moines. And I was just roaming around there and I saw it and, ooh, this is Polish. It's mine. So I bought it. I had never cooked anything out of it, but I have looked at the recipes. The pictures of the food are really nice. And a lot of the pork dishes could easily be altered by simply changing the meat. Yeah, I do not have my mom's cabbage roll recipe, but I'm sure I could find. I think that cookbook might have a version of it in there. I don't know if it would be the same as what my mom had, but she still has all of her cookbooks from when she did pretty much all scratch cooking when I was a lot younger. Of course, back then she was feeding a lot more people than, that became less and less as we, we grew up and we were on our own. So my mom does some cooking, but when you're only cooking for yourself, you change a lot of things. And because of her current health conditions, she has to avoid certain foods, and she eats more of other foods, but when there's a party or something and there's going to be a meal, my sisters do the cooking usually. And now that my brother is up here, he does some of it as well. Yeah, I have my mom's pierogi recipe. So that is one of her Polish recipes that I did copy directly from hers. And then her salata miseria recipe I also copied directly from hers, and she did include the red onion option, which is actually my preferred way to make it because I like that flavor of the red onion. I like the color. You know, the contrast with the green of the cucumbers and the dill. Yeah, plus I use olive oil and apple cider vinegar for the dressing. I don't know of a specific Polish recipe that you would call a chicken bake. I would have to dig up that cookbook. You know, when I had to literally clear out my living room after my apartment got flooded last spring, I put all of my books in the boxes. That's where they're still at. They're still in those boxes. I still have not put my stuff back the way it was. Yeah, I have not heard from the insurance company in a few months, so they're not even sending me any letter saying that you've been denied. They still kept insisting that I have receipts or everything that I might want to claim, even if it was a gift or a roadside find or a handmade item. And then they insist I fill out a form that has no space to write things in. Plus, I have no idea how to even figure out what is eligible for claim, what is not, even though everything in here is mine except for what the cat wants to claim. But they would not send anyone to help me figure all that out, so I'm just basically considering that a no-go these days. In fact, I'm not even sure that they would reimburse me for anything even a cent above the deductible, or if I would have to pay them beyond the premium. So I'm just basically, yeah, that's a blow off. I'm not even going to mess with that nonsense anymore. And the worst part about it was done on a Sunday, and I had just taken off to go to the mosque. It was still during Ramadan, so I was going there I'd take off around, midday, maybe slightly before noon, to go catch the first of two buses that I take to go over there. So it must have started shortly after that. And then I had spent the night in the mosque and not come back home after praying, you know, the extra night prayers that we do during Ramadan. So I did not come home. I stayed there. And, the last 10 nights, some people will actually stay there. And then there will be the yeah, a very early breakfast that we eat before first light, before praying the morning prayer. So I would set up for that. And then I'd go up into the prayer room, lay down for a few hours, and then I would go back downstairs to start heating up the food. That was reserved for the breakfast if there was not someone there to cook fresh. And so then after praying the morning prayer, then I would lay down in the prayer room for probably another couple hours, and then go home. I'd come home to take a shower and change clothes, check the mail, take care of the kitty, make sure she's got fresh water in her bowl, and if it's the day, scoop the litter box, stuff like that. Then I came home that next morning, and an employee of the management company that runs this complex, he says, "I've been looking for you," and I thought I had done something wrong. And he said, "No, you got a mess upstairs." So that mess is so bad, it went down into the apartment below me. So it messed up some of her stuff. So the idiot who caused it had to pay for repairs of not only their apartment, but mine and the one below me. Thanks for dropping in. Burger Butt is heading out. Yeah, but that's how that happened. And then a couple of months later, this same apartment, the person up, there's a guy was living up there after that. He was filling up his tub too full, and so somehow water got down through the floor and down through my ceiling, causing a mess in my bathroom. So the maintenance guy had to come, and I was still dealing with waiting on repairs, and I had to wait for workers to come in and refinish my living room walls and the ceiling and all that, because that took a fair amount of time to get all that stuff done, because it took so much time to dry things out. And I was trying to go through the process with the insurance company, but they just kept giving me the runaround. But yeah, the maintenance guy caught went up to the apartment above me and saw how full the tub was, and gave that person a warning: "You cannot do that. You're messing up the apartment below you." So yeah, it just proves that some people are just that stupid and probably should not be living on their own. I still had a bunch of my stuff in my bathtub. So I was not taking proper showers myself. I was just washing up at the sink because I couldn't put everything back in my living room at that time. And of course, a couple months after that, maybe a month after that, my previous fridge crapped out. So that was an old one. It had its issues. And the new one is slightly bigger. It barely fits in the space, but I'm happy with it. So I lost the food I had in it, mostly what I had in the freezer. There was an attempt to repair it, so I left everything in there because I needed to have something in there to refreeze if that repair would have worked. But because that repair didn't solve the problem, so, nope, you're getting a new one. And of course, the guys who were sent to put in the new fridge, they were not told that they had to take the old one out first. I said, no, you're supposed to get the other one out of here. They probably didn't tell you that. So they took the old fridge out and then put the new one in place. So yeah, I'm happy about that. Nope, you can't fix stupid. There have been there was a domestic dispute involving a resident and another person. It turns out the resident had an arrest warrant out for some unrelated thing, I guess. So the police came. Of course, I didn't know it at the time that the resident had a warrant out, and so I'm the one who called the police because of the ruckus going on. So ended up taking both of them away, and a couple weeks later, some people came out to clear that apartment out, and then there are a few things that were left outside that they didn't take away. So I don't know what's going to become of those things. They'll probably end up in the dumpster sooner or later. And it wasn't the first time I've called the police, especially late at night. I go to bed and then I hear this pounding on one of the sliders down below. And dang, people are trying to sleep, so I call the police and I said, "No, I'm trying to get some sleep. I just went to bed and I want to get some sleep, but I can't with that ruckus." And I tell them I don't want to go downstairs because I don't want to cause any more trouble because, Sometimes you just don't want people to know that you called the police on them for whatever reason. So, but since that person has left, there hasn't been too much of that, at least not on my side of the building. Yep. I did not want, when I was first looking at this place, I did not want a first floor and even know what it meant to get in here. I actually like that from a security standpoint because I don't have a door that is as easily accessible from the outside. And because I'm above the first floor, you would have to be a monkey to get up the deck posts or have a super long ladder, and that would cause a scene. But even with that, I want to do something here like I did in my and another place I had where I was on the first floor. I don't want to mention that out loud because, I want to keep some security things secret, if you know what I mean. But eventually I will add something that will improve the security around here. I just don't know if I would be allowed to do what I did in that other place. In the other place, when I first moved in there, they allowed this particular security measure, especially if you had a first floor, because they had the patios, whereas the floors above did not have a deck or balcony or anything like that. So this security measure was allowed. And at that time, there were not, the security doors were not all that great because people were messing with the latches so that the door would not latch. And that has happened here as well. In fact, one time I went to open the door to take some trash to the dumpster or to go get my mail, one of those two. And holy crap, the pin fell out of the latch handle on the inside of the door. I went to push on it and the pin just fell out of my hand. Said, nope. Now, actually, I think I was coming in when that happened. I went to close the door, make sure it was latched, and that pin just literally fell out in my hand. And it was happened on a weekend, so I put a note on the door saying that the latch broke. You have to use another door to come in and go out. And so maintenance did get that fixed, and the maintenance guy, yep, here's the pin. There you go. So they got that fixed. So people have tried to mess with the security doors here. viewers, Shadow Scout Swede in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This was my dinner tonight. A halal beef roast with vegetables. Not bad. It was a kind of moderately processed beef roast patty, I guess you could call it. It kind of had the texture that reminded me of a Salisbury steak. But it had potatoes, some bits of mushroom, some very soft bits of carrot, and one piece of red bell pepper. That was it. In kind of a thin beef gravy. I had a fruit and nut mix, which is bits of fruit with almonds. I had cranberries. Then I had another savory snack mix, which Southwest adobo seasoned snack mix with almonds, peanuts, corn nuts, sesame bites, kind of like a sesame stick, but it was in a square form. A little corn sticks and sunflower kernels, then a cinnamon bun. This is a tropical punch fruit drink, which is not the best U.S. MRE drink, but I'm still going to finish it off. It leaves a bit of a red residue in my drinking jar. These do not have hot drink options, so I just got a tea bag from my kitchen just so I could show off my delicious mug. Yep, this came all the way from Poland, along with a bunch of other goodies. So that's my mug of choice for reviews. Although once in a while I might bring out my Mike Kreischer mug, my Kreischer reviews, and I might still bring out my foreign MRE mug once in a while, but hey, thanks for dropping in, Mother Earth Garden Club. Good to see a bunch of new faces in here. Wow, there's a name I hadn't seen in a chat before in a long time. Fireman CV. Yeah, the beef was not really rubbery. It's just a more processed texture. It didn't have the discernible muscle fibers that you would get in a piece of brisket or a roast beef that has not been processed beyond slicing. So that's why I said it kind of reminded me of Salisbury steak, texture-wise. But the flavor was pretty decent, and it looked like the patty had been cooked first before being put in a gravy. And then the other stuff was added to it. I'm guessing that's how it was done based on the look of it. But it almost had the shape of, say, like the pork sausage patty or the jalapeno beef patty, but thicker, maybe not as long. That's kind of what it looked like. But again, these halal MREs are very snack heavy. Although the cinnamon bun did seem more like a dessert than a snack. So wouldn't mind if those had a bit more filling to them, but the cinnamon flavor was there. The bread itself was still a bit doughy, but otherwise, this was a menu I had not had before, so I was very happy to get this particular one. I've had the halal beef, yeah, other menus with beef in them, but this particular one was one I had not had yet. This was packed in 2022. Well, I guess you'll have to do what the CR always does when he comes into one of my chats. Go find something to chow on. Another thing about these MREs is you don't get a hot drink option, but look what they put in the accessory pack. 2 packets of sugar. I'm not sure what that's all about. I mean, it's nice to get the 2 packets of sugar, but what are you going to put it on if you don't do what I did and make yourself a cup of tea or, get a cup of coffee or something like that? I have not found out why the U.S. ration packers don't put coffee or at least cocoa mix or even a tea bag in the halal MREs. I don't know what's up with that. Yeah, I'm sure they would. I mean, these would be good for a diabetic. In fact, this reminds me when my family worked at a YMCA camp outside of Boone, Iowa. During the diabetic week, we would get a sandwich bag, put some sugar packets in it, and we would literally take a safety pin and pin it to our clothes. That way, if we ran across a diabetic who had blood sugar that was too low and they didn't have anything on them to deal with that, then we could give them the sugar to bring it back up to a good level. And so that's why we literally wore those bags of sugar packets, just for that reason. And if we didn't use them by the end of the week, well, I kept them. I used them at home. I lived on the camp property at the time because my dad was a head maintenance, and he was responsible for taking care of the horses with other people helping him. And my mom was the cook for part of the time in the camp kitchen. Plus, she did some other stuff around the camp too. And that's what we all did. We when there are no campers around, we still took care of the horses. We took care of other stuff that would need to be done in between groups. But yeah, those sugar packets always came with me. I never returned those. Because why not? It's what we did. But we had different weeks. We had, in addition to the diabetic week, we had one for deaf campers. We had an MD week for kids with muscular dystrophy or similar diseases. And we made a few alterations as we could to meet their needs. Plus, those groups would have additional people that they would bring in. You know, for the deaf campers, they would bring in sign interpreters, and then for the kids, the diabetic and the MD groups, they would bring additional medical people in to take care of any issues that they would have. And speaking of CR, sorry, it's all gone. I got salt and pepper, sugar, and crushed red pepper, which I didn't use. I figured this is better on something else. I wanted to try the beef roast as it was without putting anything on it first. Plus, this crushed red pepper I think would be better on something that would need a little bit of a kick of heat. There's the beef roast. I think it would alter it too much, and I didn't want to do that. Again, the Halal MREs are the only ones that you get salt and pepper. And not just a packet of salt. So these are the salt and pepper packets that you're getting in the Halal MREs. And not only that, you get this brown napkin here in addition to that and that. So those are a few other differences with the Halal MREs than the other ones. I have a couple of kosher rations made by a company called La Briute, which replaced My Own Meals for the kosher and the things. My Own Meals also had some of theirs halal certified as well as kosher certified. So when I got that case of those from CT several years ago, they were halal and kosher certified. Some of those are vegetarian, but their accessory bags came with hot drink options. And for what I have seen online of the La Briute, they are the same. You get more in the accessory pack than what you get with the ones made by Sapaco, Warnick, or Ameriqual. You don't get any hot drink option at all, which I think is strange. So what I may do, since I've got two of these La Briute kosher rations coming, what I may do is, because I still see some of the My Own Meals complete ones on eBay, I may save one of the La Briute ones for a later time. Then when next time I get paid, I may order one or two of the My Own Meals complete ones And then I can do a direct comparison between my own meals and La Brute as far as packaging, types of contents, you know, some other differences like that. I don't know if anyone has ever done that with these kosher certified ones. Do a direct comparison between uh, two of these companies that have done those. So I may do that. I did that once with the older version of the Halal MREs in the clear bag with the peelable seal, and the newer style with the packaging that is like the inner bag of Ameriqual and Sopaco, and their the civilian equivalents like the reduced sodium civilian rations. And of course, the newest MRE packaging is like these, but the front part of the package with all the writing on it is tan color instead of clear. So I hope to get one of those in the near future, just to see what other changes. I've seen some of them opened up by other reviewers, but I would like to get one of these 23s and maybe 24s. Plus, I want to try some of the newest menus. I want to try some of the new MCW menus as well, where the Mountain House entrees are in a commercial packaging called the Pro Pack. And that's a blue bag, and you can seal it after you put the water in, whereas the older version, the packaging that's the same color as all of the other components, you could not reclose that tight enough unless you put a clip on it. See, Mike Kreischer has opened up a couple of those newer MCWs, and I think one or two others have that I've seen. But yeah, I would like to get a hold of some of those new MCW menus and give those a shot. So maybe next year I'll be able to get some of those. Yeah, yeah. You know, you can only take that back if you delete your own comments here. You said it. But you're not the first one to actually say that you come in here on an empty stomach. Yeah, he's probably wanting to go to his kitchen and find something. You know, Tiara, I think you should get a hold of a Canadian IMP. You should get a hold of, yeah, Canadian Ration. There's Canada also has a version, a quick, yeah, you could call it like a quick meal type ration that doesn't require any preparation beyond mixing a drink, called the Light Meal Combat. And I've seen one of those on eBay, but the seller wanted a shipping charge that was almost as expensive as that one ration itself. And the light meal combat is the lightweight ration. It's like a single meal version of our first strike ration. So you just open up those foods and eat it without doing anything else to it. Then the only thing you would have to prepare would be mixing up the drink. And that's it, nothing else. Yeah. Actually, CT opened up a couple of those on his channel. And I think someone else had opened up one of those. I don't remember who else did. But that one was located in the US, but they wanted a shipping charge as if it was located up in Canada. I said, nope, I'm not doing that. But I wouldn't mind getting a hold of one of those. But I have some Canadian rations coming. They're in the paper bag, not the plastic bag with the zip seal. But it was a random lot of 4. And the shipping for that was less than what this other seller wanted for the light meal combat. Just one of those. So I don't know what's up with that, but I figured I could not pass up that deal, so I pounced on it. I don't know which menus I'm going to get. It's a random pick. But there'll be 4 of them. And I found a Chinese Special Forces, at least that's what the listing calls it. It's in kind of a gray-blue colored bag, but very similar to the Type 9 and Type 13, where you got two entrees, each one in its own FRH, plus a few other items. It's been a while since I had a Chinese ration, so this particular one had beef items in it, so the others had pork, so I passed on them. And that one was also already in the US, so I don't have to worry about any thievery going on. Yeah, I would like to get a hold of one. Like I said, the one that I saw on eBay, the seller wanted like $35 to ship that one single LMC, whereas this other person had half the price for shipping, and I'm getting 4 IMPs. So I don't know what's up with that other seller. No, I'm not doing that. That's just nuts. And that person is located in the US, so I don't get that. Yeah, I did one. I did find a seller on eBay who had a Spanish breakfast, so I ordered that as well. But there are a few different versions of that. So it'll be interesting to see what is inside that one. As a general rule, I really don't review breakfast rations because, you know, unless it's something more savory like the all day breakfast entree that I had in that Halal ORP, vegetarian sausage, by the way, fake meat, but they're still not bad. But, if it's something like that, to me, that would be like a lunch or dinner menu. Is the other ones are like a porridge, oatmeal. If it's something like that, then I get those because I want something else out of it, or I might just want to eat the one thing by itself. Like I might use these breakfast ones, like that Norwegian breakfast Arctic field ration. I broke that one down, and I may eat that porridge as a breakfast during Ramadan. I'm not sure, or I might it might go on a future camping trip. So sometimes I get those for that. And some of the Spanish breakfast rations actually have coffee in them, and they might have a hot cocoa mix. They're different versions of the breakfast rations, so I don't know what is going to be in this particular one that I did order. Plus, also in the Spanish breakfast ration, you get a travel toothbrush, you get the stove plate that would be similar to what's in the French reheating kit with the bendable stove plate that you put your solid fuel tabs on. You also get a packet of the toothpaste, just like you get in the other rations, but it's just in the breakfast one that you get the toothbrush. And those are actually pretty nice travel toothbrushes. So I have gotten a couple of those before, so I have them stashed away. Oh wow, that one is would be an interesting one to open up. I think the only one I've seen open up one of those is Michael Green, who has since had to stop doing his reviews because of health issues that he's had to go through. But he has a couple of those on his channel that he opened up. So if you search Michael Green reviews, and you may find you'll find those videos in his archive of that particular uh, type of ORP. It's been a few years since he did that, so the packaging may be different than what yours is. Yeah, some curries are probably those are probably bland intentionally. You would probably want to throw a little something like that in there, kind of give it a little kick, or maybe something a little stronger than that. Uh, I think you would have better luck finding squid in some of the Spanish rations. That's the only one that I have seen personally or watched on YouTube that had squid in it is one of the Spanish rations, and I got one of those. And that was the first time I had squid in its own ink. It was not bad. I think it was a little overcooked, but I still enjoyed it. But if you want squid in a ration, you have to look in the Spanish lineup to find that one. I don't remember which menu that was. I don't know if Homipsa is still doing that in their current Spanish ration lineup. Yeah, I have never heard of another country's rations having squid in it besides the Spanish ones. Yeah, I think you can get a good look at that red residue in the bottom of my drinking jar. This the US red drinks are the only ones that do that. None of the others do. Oh, speaking of Norwegian rations, Germ's MRE put one up today. It was a sweet and sour pork. It was the entree in that one. It was an older one. It was packed in, it was made in 2015, 2016, and everything was good about it, although he said the cranberry protein bar tasted like it was old. And it had a cinnamon bun in it, a Bridgeford cinnamon bun. And it looked just like the one that was in this Halal MRE. Because my cinnamon bun was Bridgeford. Yeah, right. I don't think they would go there. My Spanish Halal B2 has sardines in it. And I got a duplicate of that B2, and I have not busted it up. So I'm not sure if I will just keep that one and just eat that on my own for a quick meal, or if I'll give it to someone, or what I'll do with that. Again, thanks to my mods for dealing with that nonsense. That's why I got. That's why I've modified a few people to handle that. Yeah, I'm looking at the chat on my tablet, so if my voice sounds like it kind of fades off, it means I've turned towards my tablet to look at the chat because I have my phone mounted above the tray. And the way I got it positioned, there's no way I can read the chat on that thing. So next week, I don't know what will show up. I will be getting some packages this week. I may open them up as I get them instead of waiting till I get all of them at once because the, some of them have not yet shipped, even though ones I ordered after that have already shipped. So I, yeah, I'll just open them as I get them instead of waiting for all of them to come in because I want to have something ready to go for next Sunday. Well, that's perfectly fine, CR. You need to eat a little something. I don't want you kicking over in the middle of while my stream's going because I don't want to deal with the paperwork. And I got this mug from Delicious all the way from Poland. He sent one of these to Blind Fox in South Africa. That's very nice of him to send these out to people, even if they're not expecting something in return. Oh, that's a crapper. That was a good one. Yeah, I got his jerky one other time when he sent me the lamb tushonka and the group ration can of the vegetarian cabbage rolls. Artpol, which is a company that does Polish rations, they make large cans for group rations, somewhat like the American UGR, Unitized Group Ration, items that come in those trays. This is a can, and it had the vegetarian cabbage rolls in it. So I heated some of those up with some of that lamb tushonka, put that together. Oh boy, was that a good combo. But I had to get into that jerky right away after I opened that package. That stuff is so good. Yeah, and these are vegetarian cabbage rolls done by a ration packer. Nowhere near as good as my mom's cabbage rolls, but these are really good. For a ration packer doing something like that, a very common traditional Polish food, I would eat those again in a minute. Yeah, as I said earlier, I miss my mom's cabbage rolls that we ate a lot when I was a kid. She used to make a tomato sauce that would go on top of them. Or sometimes she would actually put the tomato sauce in the pot with the cabbage rolls instead of make it separate and put on top. Sometimes she did it that way. So almost a soup, but still that sauce was almost like a soup broth. It wasn't thick like a pasta sauce, but yeah, she used to make some killer good cabbage rolls. I have never had stuffed pumpkin, but I have watched several YouTubers do it. But they would get a small pumpkin, put their filling in after they scooped all the seeds out, put the top back on, then they would wrap it up in foil and put it in a fire. But a stuffed pumpkin does sound very good. I've never had that. I would like to. If my oven worked, then I could do it myself, but my oven doesn't work. My big burner on my stove doesn't work, but I still got the three small ones that do, so. But I only use two of those. The other small one I don't use. My oven is pot storage. I don't know if I could do it in my Instant Pot. I probably could. I'd take a small pumpkin, stuff it, and put it in my Instant Pot. I probably could. Because you can do more than just pressure cook in it. It's got settings you can do. You can, there's a rice cooking setting on it. There's a few other different options you can do with it. I can't can with it. It's not an Instant Pot Max. It's the Duo. If I had the Instant Pot Max, I could actually can in it. Yeah, if it sounds like it would be very good with these videos that I've seen. They'll either put beef in it, or they if they have pork, they might put pork in it. They might put chicken in it. At least that's the meats that I could figure out what they're using. And they would have potatoes, some other veggies in it, plus whatever seasonings they would put in it. But that is something I would love to try, but I just haven't had the chance to. Yep, tea's gone. And Pumpkin has woken up from one of her cat naps. She's down below. She's fired up her kitty motor. At least that's what I tell her because of how she purrs. She purrs a lot. So I tell her she's got a kitty motor. Nope. I did bring some leftovers home Thursday night when I was over at my. I went to a house that I had not been to before because a different person hosted. My in law niece and her husband hosted, but several others contributed dishes. And so I went over there and I took a couple of jars of Italian style pickled veggies. And so a few people tried those, but I ended up bringing most of that back home. So I ate some of those today as part of my lunch. And when I finish those jars off, they'll get cleaned out and I'll use those jars for water storage. You know, they're glass jars. They're not the kind you can in, but I can still use them for water storage, which I like to do with jars that are not canning jars. Or I could use them for dry food storage. But it's one of the ways that I store water is in those types of jars. Plus sturdy plastic containers, I have water in them as well. Well, Pumpkin is having a munch right now. I can hear her crunching away on her cat food. Yeah, I don't know if it's just torties in general that are like that, but Pumpkin will pounce on my bed and she'll try to go after my feet. I tell her, no, you can't have my feet. Sometimes she'll lay on the bed for a little while and then she'll go off and do whatever she does at night. But Pumpkin is a talker. When she gets in the mood to do that, she sometimes I think she meows because she just wants to hear herself. Yeah, I've had other cats in the past before. You know, when I was living at home with my parents, we had a gray tabby. At one time, then we had a calico, and then when I was a lot younger, we had a liver point Siamese. if someone unfamiliar came to the house, she had a bit of an attitude, but around us, she was all chill. And of course, the first cat I had after, I didn't have cats in my first two apartments because the first place didn't allow animals unless it was a service animal. And then the second place, the management kept changing their mind, so it confused the crap out of people. So I so after I moved out of there, then I got Mila, and then when I came here, Mila came with me. Because this place allows pets. Of course, people who have dogs are supposed to pick up after their dogs, but nobody does. I have never seen anyone take a bag out and pick up what the dogs drop. So when I'm outside, if I'm walking on the grass, I got to be very careful where I step because I have stepped in it a few times. That's a bugger if they don't have a warm place to be in. Yeah, we had a pet skunk who lived out in a horse barn for a time. We couldn't keep Sweet William in the house for a while, so he was out in the horse barn. This is when we were living at the YMCA camp outside of Boone, Iowa. I mentioned that earlier about the different group camps that we had. But the one winter, it got really, really cold, and my dad went to go check on the horses, and Sweet William, he was descented, so he couldn't spray. I mean, he was a sweet skunk. He was truly domesticated and raised as a pet and not just a wild caught, baby. He was born to probably a mother who had been domesticated or something like that. But yeah, it just got too cold too fast for him while he was out there. And another time we took care of some rabbits that belonged to a couple of friends while they were away on vacation, or they were doing jobs away from home for a while, so we had these rabbits for a couple of months, so it was cool having them in the house. Of course, these guys would visit quite often and bring their rabbits. But of course, we also had dogs. But I had birds for a time. But when I moved over here, yeah, the last bird I had died, and so when I moved here, I knew there was not going to be room for the birds, so I just left the cages and the unused bird food at that other place, and I'll let them deal with it. Well, thanks for coming in. I'm probably going to go ahead and close this out since I have finished off everything here. All these other things, like all this stuff gets added to my stash. Like, I got bags that I keep all these in. I got bags that I keep all my wet wipes in. My brown spoon will go in a bag with a bunch of my other plastic spoons, so these become part of my emergency supply. So that way, if I have to really restrict my water use, I will go to all of my disposable stuff. That way I can save on my water should I not have running water here, or it's so messed up that it's not even good for cleaning or something like that. It's how I prep for difficult times by having this backup stash. You know, I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. Even the FRH, I save these things. I can use it if I need to warm something up. Like during a power outage, I want to warm something up, I can do that. I can make an instant coffee or put a tea bag in a beverage bag and put that in there. Or I could use it on the go. But I do want to thank you all for hanging out with me tonight, checking out this Halal MRE. Again, thanks to Multi-Magnum for sending that in for review. And when I get my first packages of rations in from my recent orders, I'll let you see what I get in those. So I should be getting at least a couple of them this week. Hopefully more, but as this month goes on, I'll be bringing more of those out. Anyway, thanks for watching and catch you on the flip side.